So I've said it once, I'll say it again. I have absolutely no problem giving credit to Democrats where it's due. And Chuck Schumer, even though he supported Donald Trump's decision to bomb Syria, he did something positive by championing the idea of decriminalizing marijuana. Now, would I like him to go further and just outright legalize marijuana? Would I like him to include a provision in his bill that expunges the records of people who have previous marijuana felonies and convictions? Yes, I would, but I mean, it's certainly a step in the right direction. So, I mean, these marginal improvements that are made by Democrats, I think that they're important, and we have to recognize it so that way they continue to do this, maybe if they see that we're praising them for it, positive reinforcement. But by and large, make no mistake about it, Democrats are still completely lost. And we know that based on the things that they choose to rally around politically. Russiagate, Stormy Daniels, and their messaging for 2018 that we're learning about, what they're going to talk about and focus on, it still shows that they're lost because they're choosing to focus on the Republican Party's corruption. Now, is the Republican Party corrupt? Yes. Unmistakably, they are corrupt. They are I would argue, the most corrupt political organization in the history of American politics. But what else is true about that? Democrats are also corrupt. So how can you call out the Republican Party's corruption if you yourself are beholden to your biggest financial backers? Well, they're going to do it anyway. So according to Amanda Turkle of HuffPost, Democrats are looking back to the last time they took control of the House for lessons on what may work this year, and they're starting to narrow in on a major theme: the Republican culture of corruption, cronyism, and incompetence. In 2006, Democrats won majorities in both the House and Senate, breaking the hold Republicans had on Congress for more than a decade. In 2006, the scandals dripped out bit by bit. Republicans watched them pile up, but still thought they might be able to keep the House, until September, when the Mark Foley scandal broke. The news that the GOP congressman from Florida had been sending sexually explicit text messages to teenage boys was the final nail in the coffin. House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi is bringing back her 2006 refrain for this cycle. It first appeared in an April 6th statement calling for the resignation of Environmental Protection Agency head Scott Pruitt, saying he was a part of the Trump administration's culture of corruption, cronyism, and incompetence. It then popped up later that day in one of her press releases, and then 3 days later in a letter to her colleagues about their priorities in the coming months. In her weekly press conference the following day, she used the phrase twice, reminding reporters of that earlier election. Some may recall that in 2005-2006, one of our mantras during the campaign was to drain the swamp, to end the Republican culture of cronyism, corruption, and incompetence, and that is exactly what we did. The president has misappropriated that term of art, drain the swamp, and what does he do but have an administration that is wallowing in it? Now again, I want to reiterate the fact that Republicans are undoubtedly corrupt. Donald Trump's administration is undoubtedly swampy. But simply, for one, even if the Democratic Party wasn't corrupt, pointing out the Republican Party's corruption is not an adequate substitute for their lack of policy ideas. Marijuana legalization, or decriminalization more specifically, that is a huge step in the right direction. But we want Medicare for all. We want student loan debt cancellation. We want a $15 federal minimum wage. We want tuition-free public colleges and universities. You can't just ignore all the things that we want and expect us to come out and support you only by focusing on Republican corruption. Because, yes, it is the case that Republicans are corrupt, but that doesn't change or fix the problems that we still have in this country. Now, again, I can't not point out their hypocrisy, because as they lambast Republicans for being corrupt, I mean, they rigged a primary in 2016. That was one of the biggest scandals our country has ever seen. I mean, they're doing borderline quid pro quos for their corporate donors. Ruben Kihuen of Nevada is being forced into retirement, literally, for sexually harassing women. I mean, if you're going to talk the talk, you better damn well make sure that you are able to walk the walk. But Democrats, they can't walk the walk. So everything that they do is either hypocritical or ironic, and they don't see it. They don't see that we have the same perception of them as they have, of Republicans. They need to fundamentally change the way that they do politics. We thought that Obama would do that. When he championed this idea of hope and change and, not doing politics as usual, we believed him. But he lied to us. And with that success, you'd think that Democrats would look at Obama's 2008 campaign and see, well, maybe voters really do want change. Maybe the electoral victory of Donald Trump in 2016 is a huge sign that voters are tired of the establishment. Maybe we should do things differently, but they don't see it. They don't. Not only are they out of touch, but they are corrupt. And until they break away from the chains that their corporate donors have locked them in, we're not going to see fundamental change, for the Democratic Party. And it's sad.
Support this podcast by becoming a patron at patreon.com/Humanist Report.